The Dallas game show, game 5-1 Minnesota Wild. We have a series that is tied at 1. I have a very special guest with me today. That is Mr. Richard Grant. Richard, undo your mute. Okay, there you go. Mr. Richard Grant. He has come in very professionally and got his background all situated and whatnot. What's going on, Mr. Grant?
Oh, doing great tonight. Excited for Game 5. Doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah. As you all know, playoff hockey is just that. As you can see, my background is today. I'm actually in the arena itself. Fortunately, it is, but up a member down. But the end was such that we are actually in overflow. So this will kind of work out for me because I'm actually in the stadium. I'm not in one of those itty bitty chairs, ripping those chairs. I can't. All right. So again, this series is tied at 2-2. The Stars got a much needed split in Minnesota. I was there covering games 3 and 4. They got dusted, to say the least. They got dusted Friday night, and they came back and answered the call. Richard, what'd you think about that?
Well, Minnesota? Yes, coming back from that Game 3 dusting, they had answering back. Team's looking strong. They've been the better team, top to bottom, I think, through this series so far. Minnesota is a very physical team, and they're going to look for their shots. They've been getting called with the penalties. I think the Stars, they're clipping along at 50% on the power play right now, and can't lean on that too much. But very happy to see that the special teams is clicking.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, I think it's besides Jake Ottinger. Otter and the special teams play has been our saving grace. Of course, Otter has been special in the special teams. In fact, in the power play, they are 7 for 16 with a 43.8%. And on the penalty kick, they are in the team, so 76.5% on the penalty kill. So, yeah, you said it right. Special teams, much needed.
Yes, the 5-on-5 play needs to pick up. They're kind of getting manhandled a little bit in that. Believe Minnesota's outscored them quite a bit on 5-on-5 play. But there again, good special teams will carry you, and the goaltending has been out of this world. This young man, very impressive.
Yeah, no doubt about it. In fact, he had quite a bit of family in town for Sunday's game, and I think he actually called her Mimo. So his grandmother was in town as well. He also has a 8-year-old little brother, that was in town as well. But Yoel Kiviranta is the little brother's favorite player, so that's pretty. All right, we got hometown's own twin in the building. She goes, hey, what's going on? What's going on? So another big thing that's been talked quite a bit about, especially amongst the media, is Tyler Seguin's filling in for Joe Pavelski, who that's a glaring, not having him has been much bigger than I thought it would be. But Tyler Seguin's filling in for him on the power play. The league has a total of 3 power play goals in his stead. What do you think about us missing Pavelski and how Tyler Seguin has stepped in?
Well, Pavelski, I wish him quick healing, and they sure do miss him out there. Tyler Seguin, it's really nice to see him bounce back after the injury years he's had the last few years. And he's really getting back to Tyler Seguin form. He and Jamie Benn have both been here for a long time and have been here, the highs, the lows. In the Stanley Cup Finals a couple of years ago, Seguin was playing injured at that time through that whole run. And it's just good to see him healthy again, and he's getting the production that he's known for.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. In fact, just to speak on some of those injuries, he's overcome a sliced Achilles tendon, a knee and hip surgeries, and then in those recoveries, because of the type of recoveries, they take a lot of the quadriceps strength away, and that is much needed for a hockey player in general, because you got to skate, right? But especially someone with his skill set. He is someone who has said over the years, though, that things happen for a reason. So no one wants to see Joe Pavelski hurt. We'd be a much better team with him there. But to see Tyler Seguin in rows, I mean, he's been just outside the crease, banging it up a little bit, in some of these. In fact, when he scored the first goal on Sunday, it was just, we were sitting there debating it. It was like, I think that went off his skate. And it was one of those things where I immediately said, a wonky goal like that is one that'll get you going. And sure enough, it seemed like it got the entire team going. It's just a little wonky goal. I don't know if it gets to a point to where they start just mentally feeling that things are going our way. And as a result, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you think you're going to do well, you do well. What did you think about that goal, watching it on TV when it went in?
My goodness, the first goal, that was through hard work and a good bounce, and we love to see that. The second power play goal that Tyler had on Sunday, that was a pass that was tight into the feet. He grabbed a hold of it and sent it top shelf. It was beautiful. What a game on Sunday. They really played a complete game.
Right. And so to touch up on Pavelski again, Pavelski was hit in game 1 here in Dallas on a vicious hit. When I say the entire arena reacted to this, it was a vicious hit. He went parallel to the ice, okay, before he landed. His head hit the ice, and he's in concussion protocol. He did skate with the team this morning, but he is still out for Game 5. They said they would be extremely optimistic to possibly get him back in Game 7, but I think that's still a stretch as well. But again, he did skate with the team. In fact, Coach DeBoer said that he did call him a few times in Minnesota during the game. So he's seeing stuff on watching the game, on TV and whatnot, and watching. I'm sure he's got a much better feed than we get at home, right? But he's watching the game and he's calling Coach, telling him what he sees. So again, Pavelski is a big part of this team, and to try to win without him is a tall task. In Minnesota, every time Suter touched the puck, Suter sucked chants where you couldn't hear because of him. Were you able to pick any of that up on TV? Were y'all able to hear any of that at all?
Absolutely, yes. You could hear it every time. That you would just hear a roar every time that the puck even got within 5 feet of him.
Close to him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not fans.
Yeah, it was a trip. Now Gustafson, which is the goalie for the Minnesota Wild, he played and made 51 saves, I believe it was, in game number 1 here in Dallas. Curiously, the coach for the Wild, Dean Evgenii, he pulled him for game 2 and put in Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, this is not unusual for what the Wild have done throughout the course of the regular season, but typically when you get to playoff hockey, you roll with the hot guy regardless. And if a guy's made 51 saves and played the way Gustafson did in game 1, I couldn't see taking him out. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, Marc-Andre Fleury, great goalie. I think the way that game 1 went, definitely, if it were my call, I would have ridden the hot hand and played Gustafson again in game 2 and see if you can possibly steal another one on the road. But that's not what they chose. I get it. Yeah, they looked at it as we've already stolen the one game on the road. Let's give our guys some rest after a double overtime game. Let him heal up a couple of days. That's fine. But I personally would have ridden the hot hand.
Right. No doubt about it. And again, no shade to Marc-Andre Fleury. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going into the Hall of Fame 5 years after his career is over with. He's won 2 Stanley Cups, so no shade to him, but he's a little long in the tooth. And Gustafson, like Otter, is the young stud. So, sometimes those young studs, man, they don't know enough to be nervous in the playoffs.
Yeah, they sure don't. Speaking of the young guys, I would love to see some production out of Robertson. Yeah. He had such a phenomenal season. Yeah. And, of course, the lights get brighter, the stage gets bigger. Playoff hockey is here, and, he's a young guy. I think a couple of the young guys, Harley stepped up big on Sunday, had a really good game. And, Rope Hintz, what can you say? That guy's he's just phenomenal.
Yeah, no doubt. Very good points from the young guys. In fact, Rope Hintz, the other night, he logged 3 assists in game 4. So he did well in game 2 here, and in game 1 he did decently, scoring goals in both those games. But in game 3 they shut him down. He went from a hat trick to no points, no shots on goal even, right? So they smothered him, and that's what sometimes young players have to figure out, is that it's a different season when you go from the regular season to the playoffs. And when they say it's a different season and veterans play it differently, they are getting their taste at that,
Yes, for sure.
And Otter, he had a good series a 7-game series against Calgary last year, and he was anxious to show the country that this was not a fluke. That was not a fluke, that he is the type of goaltender that you can ride to a Stanley Cup finals. So I think he's shown that. I think he is. For sure. Yeah, I do too, man. No doubt about it. He's shown that. And speaking of, you spoke of the young guys. Now let's talk about a couple of trade deadline acquisitions. And Evgenii Dadonov, who has had a fantastic series up to this point. So I want you to touch on him first, and then I want you to touch on Max Domi, okay? So Dadonov, he was traded to the Stars at the end of February, and they have called him a playoff player. He had a third period goal on Sunday. And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, he got a couple in the 73 as well. What are your thoughts on Dadonov, and then give me your thoughts on Dadonov?
Well, I think both great acquisitions. Domi he came right in and made a pretty much an immediate impact, and they definitely made some good moves at the deadline, and we've had his name slips my mind, but a couple of guys came up from the Texas hockey team down there in Austin, who's another team who's they're in the playoffs, doing good.
Yeah,
and
we got a young stud down there that's lighting it up too offensively. Oh, yeah. So we got some more in the pipeline.
Yes. This team has been built very solid from the farm system up, and they're starting to see the production from the young guys. The young guys are ready to play, and they're coming up here. But yeah, again, on the trade deadline acquisitions, I think they were both great, and they're getting what they wanted out of the trades.
Yeah, and defensively, we have some depth. In fact, Joel Hanley was actually brought up in Game 4 in place of Colin Miller. And Coach said the reason why he was doing that is because Hanley he was more solid defensively. He may not give you the offensive boost that you get from some defensemen, but he's not going to mess up on defense. He's going to give you everything that you needed on defense. So he paired Hanley to a guy you mentioned earlier, in Thomas Harley. So you got the Hanley-Harley defensive pairing, and apparently that did cause Minnesota some difficulties in game number 4. Were you able to see from your perspective the difference with Hanley in the lineup over Connor?
Yeah, defensively, the Stars very solid. They've the other night had a very solid game. Pretty much kept Minnesota choked up until the halfway through the third period when they got their first goal, and it all comes down to Miro Heiskanen. He is the quarterback of the team. I think he plays more minutes than anyone on the team. He's just so great with the passing. He can put that puck on the stick, and he can hold the blue line. And that's really this game tonight is going to come down to controlling the blue line and face-offs, and that's where Jamie Benn comes in, and he is just a face-off beast.
Yeah. They've been killing them on face-off for sure this series, which they need to, because I'm telling you right now, puck possession is everything in this series. So thankfully that has been the case. In terms of officiating, and this will be one of the last points that we'll make today, because officiating has been wildly discussed here. And I'll give you some of the Minnesota Wild coach Dean Everson's. I'll give you some of his quotes after I get your thoughts on the officiating. How have you seen the officiating? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the officiating, they've been letting them play for the most part. There's been a couple of penalties that were, were they really penalties? I think the most egregious one was the Pavelski hit in Game 1. Changing that to a 2-minute minor was not the right call. That was an egregious hit. The Minnesota Wild player the other night got called for a tripping at the end, which led to Tyler Seguin's second goal the other night. And that was kind of like, well, was that just a hit? And why, if it's a vicious hit, the hands came up, stick came up on the other, or from the Stars player, you got to control your own stick. That could have been called penalty on each side and played 4-on-4, could have changed the whole outcome of the game. I like it for the most part that they're letting them play, but hopefully we got a 3-game series now, and let's just let the players decide who wins the game.
That's right. Yeah, you got a 3-game series now, and home ice advantage is back in the hands of the Dallas Stars. Now, as I mentioned, I wanted to give you some of these quotes from Dean Evgenii, and before I do, in Minnesota, in the bowels of the XL Energy Center there in St. Paul, Minnesota, I'm walking from the Stars locker room to the press conference room, and Dean Evgenii and one of his handlers passed me. And let me just say this, I had nightmares that night about the way that dude looked at me, man. Matter of fact, somebody on the ticket the other day says, man, he looks like he's mean to his grandkids, And if that doesn't tell you, see, in my community, Richard, they call it resting bitch face, so.
It's the same here, too.
Hey, look at here, man, that dude. So I passed him and he made eye contact. And the way I come from, when you make eye contact with somebody, you come in a room, you speak, So when I saw him, I'm like, hey, coach. When I saw that he made eye contact, I'm like, hey, coach. I just got a scowl, and he kept walking. So interesting. So he had to say, they had asked him about Foligino's was called for 2 penalties in the game. Both led to Stars goals. So when the coach asked about it, he goes, it's a joke and whatnot.
I can't remember who the Stars player was, but he did say about getting hit the other night. He said, yeah, I sold that one pretty good. So, hey, that's all part of the game. They ultimately they're going to get both teams. The penalties will even out. That's always
exactly
do.
What I think. That's exactly what I think.
They're always going to even out.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Now, one of the things that being at the games that you lose is some of the national commentary. Are they saying anything of note about this series at all, whether it be the officiating, whether it be the scoring, whether it be the goaltending? Are they saying anything of note that I'm missing by being in the arenas?
No, not too bad. I mean, the same referee chatter that you've heard. That's what's been talked about on the national stage. The Stars games, they've everything's been around here anyway. Has been broadcast on Valley. So you get Razor.
Right. And, so I think the first round is with the local guys, and then if they get to the second round, that's when everything will switch national.
Unless you're the New York Rangers. Then you get all the ESPN games.
Right. Okay, and then so finally, and matter of fact, speaking of Razor, I ran into Razor during the first and second intermission. No, excuse me. I ran into Josh Bogorod during the first and second intermission, and then I ran into Josh and Razor in separate occasions between the second and third. Both gentlemen were extremely nice. I had no idea Razor was as big as he is. Razor looks like he stands at 6'3" or 6'4", man.
Oh, yeah. And he was a goalie back in Hartford.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. For those of you who don't know, he was a goalie. But that's a big dude, man.
Yes,
both
he
of them
is.
Super, super kind. But one last thing. Okay, so part of the drama of this series is the fact that you got players that used to play for Minnesota, like Ryan Suter played for Minnesota for 9 seasons. And then you have Jake Ottinger, our goaltender, is from Minnesota. You got Mike Madonna is a consultant for the Wild. Bill Guerin is their GM. He used to play for the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars used to be in Minnesota as the North Stars before they
John Klingberg plays for Minnesota.
You got John Klingberg, and that's what I was leading up to. John Klingberg. Now he's had some good moments and some bad moments. I think yesterday they tried to put him in some positions to make it. Not yesterday, Sunday, to make him look bad. What have you seen from Klingberg? And do you have mixed emotions when you see him come across. I think he's hurt us a little bit too.
Yeah, I think I always liked John Klingberg when he played here. A very solid player. You know, he's wearing the other jersey now, so you know, I hope he does play bad.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, so this is an interesting series again, drama filled with both of those, with all those situations. The mixed company, you know, it's almost like you're playing your step cousin. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yes.
In this game. So, all right. Well, hey, I appreciate you for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, just be ready. Game 6. Well, Game 6 may be hard for me. I may not get that assignment because I will be in Kansas City covering the NFL draft. But if we advance in the future rounds and stuff like that, just stay ready because we may have you come back, okay?
All right, that'd be great. Be happy to.
All right, cool. We appreciate it, and we will see y'all next time. Just stay tuned to BS3 Network for the coverage. Again, you can follow me at @ikingdoc on Twitter. And I generally am live tweeting the game as much as I can. Sometimes things get to happening fast and furious, and I can't keep up. But I'm doing my best. So, again, Richard, we appreciate you, and we appreciate all BS3 Network supporters. And we'll see you next time.
In the quest for the cup, momentum swings are a given. To be successful in this marathon, one must harness this reality and respond accordingly. In Game 4, the Dallas Stars clawed out a victory in hostile territory.
Seguin, he shoots, he scores!
Led by a double dip from a veteran cornerstone, and another spectacular playoff masterpiece from a young keeper of the crease, whose legend continues to grow.
He stops Johansson! A game-saver from Ancher!
Tonight, the series returns to Big D and an electrified American Airlines Center. Welcome to Game 5